India's Modi government looks to pitch India as the alternative investment destination to Africa and wants the backing of the African countries for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. This India-Africa Forum Summit aims to boost trade and economic ties between the two countries, given that India wants to take advantage of the economic slowdown in China.
The most rapidly growing developing economies in the world. While Africa is a continent of the future, India is an emerging economy. As the global economy continues to recover slowly from the global financial and economic crisis, India and Africa together may well become the engines of growth for the entire world. India can contribute its capital, skills, technological capabilities to sustain Africa's growth through mutually beneficial resource partnership and easier access to each other's expanding markets.
India and Africa can no longer be excluded from their rightful place of the permanent membership of the UN Security Council. How can we expect legitimacy from a governance structure that excludes the entire African continent and a country which represents 1/6 of humanity? The 70th session of the UN General Assembly is an opportune moment to achieve concrete results on this long-pending issue. We welcome the progress achieved during the 69th session of the UNGA under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Sam Kutesa towards commencing text-based negotiations.
China has been making inroads into Africa, which is why India wants to make its presence felt. And India is making a very different point. India has told the African countries that, look, we have known you for hundreds of years. Many Indians have worked and lived in Africa, and India and Africa will work as equals and as partners. Srinjoy Chaudhary, Delhi Times Now.
I want a relationship between Africa and India to be further strengthened. Though I know it is already, a very cordial and strong one. But in terms of resources, Africa does have enormous resources. And there are a lot of untapped, resources in Africa that can enhance development between India and Africa. Okay. Because there are a lot of resources that India needs from us, from Africa, to be specific Sierra Leone, and also in terms of exchanges, technology, right. Value addition. Right. Sierra Leone and Africa as a whole, needs support from India.
It strengthens relationship with India. We are a small but a strategic country in West Africa. We have some needs, but we don't come here to borrow something from India. What our country will need is to have what I will say. I don't know, to benefit the technology of India so that we can grow in many domains.
Third edition of India-Africa Forum Summit, and of the 54 nations invited from the African continent, 40 are being represented by their heads of states. So this is the significance and importance this event has attained in the dynamics of India-Africa relationship. What India is expecting is that the relationship goes beyond transactional and to a level where there is mutual cooperation and understanding on all global issues between the two regions. So, for example, India's trade with Africa stands at about $70 billion, against which China is already doing $200 billion. India's line of credit at about $9 billion over the last decade, against which China has already cost $30 billion. So maybe don't compete on that side, but take it to a level where there is mutuality of understanding and concern on global trade, on WTO, for example, on the United Nations Security Council, on cooperation on global terrorism and of course climate change. So what Indian side is expecting is that with the deliberations that take place between all the nations together and in the important bilaterals between the respective heads of states and the Prime Minister and the Minister of External Affairs, after that there would be new synergy between India and Africa on global issues.